Yep, yeah, doing good. Waking up, cold San Francisco. It's rainy season out here, so yeah, getting through it. It's nice because when the weather is worse, it's more time to put in work. I've noticed I work longer hours at the job. I'm in the gym more often because I'm like, what else am I gonna do but be in the gym? So yeah, doing all right. How are things on your end?
Yeah, they're good, man. They're good. I've actually been watching a few, Mystery, like the old school pickup guy,
Oh,
Mystery. Yeah, yeah,
absolutely, I do.
yeah. I've been watching some of his. 'Cause he had like a little podcast run where he went on a few people's podcasts, and he was like talking about his life and his history and the impact that he had. And I was kind of under the impression. I think I had the wrong impression of the guy because I hadn't done my due diligence really to actually look into who he was, what he created, all this stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll watch that. I'll listen to what the guy's got to say. I actually found it really insightful, really interesting. I found it's quite rare actually. Whenever I'm listening to podcasts, they're usually business podcasts, and they're usually guys who are not in the niche that I operate in. But I find it really interesting to listen to a guy who essentially created the entire industry, and then he's like sharing stories, living in Hollywood. I don't know, it just like ignited this like newfound desire inside of me. I was like looking to the future, being like, oh, I really want to do like a big infield project next year. Like go to some European city, just spend a month there, get Daniel out, do a lot of filming. I don't know, it's just interesting. I guess it's kind of like I don't know, like a basketball player who may have spent some time in the off season where he kind of forgot about how exciting this whole thing used to be. He was just really weird. I was not expecting it. I was like, oh, mystery. I never really resonated with the guy, and I realized I didn't really resonate with him because I didn't really know him. So it's interesting. I find it really interesting. So yeah,
I
I've just been listening to him.
how's the guy doing nowadays? I haven't seen or kept tabs on mystery since he my introduction to the whole space via the mystery method, where he
Yeah,
was wearing that big furry top hat. I remember.
yeah. Well, apparently he's got two children now. One is 9, one is 17. So he went away from the public eye, focusing on his children. Um, but yeah, I just find it interesting. I was just listening to one of his podcasts, and he was talking about like he was a magician and he still is a magician. I've never read the game. I've never seen mystery like in field. But I was like, he was talking, his mindset, his charisma. I was like, oh, there's actually a few parallels here because that's what it was to me when I first learned magic. I wanted to learn magic because it wasn't even so much that I wanted to get over social anxiety. I actually realized I wanted to learn magic because I had this deep desire for recognition. I think, like, when I spend time around entrepreneurs or successful people, what I found is it's not even the money that they're chasing. They actually want the recognition. They want to feel important. They want to feel this sensation of, I'm valuable enough to be able to make this money or attract this woman or live this lifestyle. So that was really interesting. And I think I understand in my psyche most of the things that I do is for recognition. Like I don't really care about money. I'm not materialistic. I've just got that strong desire to want to feel accomplished in what I do, and then for some reason I've always found accomplishment in the more obscure side of life. So magic, skydiving. I'm out here in Bangkok doing Muay Thai. There's probably deeper reasons why I'm attracted to that space, but yeah. And then when I got started with Call Approach, it kind of just felt like a natural calling for me, and yeah, I just found it really interesting listening to the guy talk, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And yeah, it just started to reignite more of a desire in me to just get back out there and have that enthusiasm I had when I first started Cold Approach 40 years ago. It's cool. I've noticed that Mystery do like daytime stuff. I think he was more like a nighttime guy, but yeah, regardless, it's still cool to pay homage to these like godfathers.
Yeah, Godfathers. I remember must have been 2019 or so when I somehow stumbled across the Mystery Method book. And yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because that I can say I think that may have been my introduction to the red pill space in general. I can't trace it back exactly, but somehow I came across the Mystery Method, and that's what introduced me to the whole idea of game as a space, to the idea that it's something I can improve on. But yeah, like you mentioned back then, I don't remember too much about the book, but I remember there's a lot of routines, something along the lines of like pre-rehearsed stuff and negging, a lot of peacocking, yeah, wearing colorful clothes to gather attention. So, but yeah, it's like you mentioned, I always got to pay homage because although I don't really resonate with what the guy was teaching back then, that was the gateway for me finding out about your content, for example. So yeah, I'm really appreciative of it, and yeah, interesting to hear that he was a magician and there are a bunch of parallels. Yeah, I imagine if we look into a lot of our backgrounds, we can find some sort of parallels where, like for me, it was I wanted to be important by playing football and getting recognition on the football team. So not as extreme as it being a magician, but I still had that longing there. And I wonder if we looked at deeper into like everybody's like reasoning for doing things, because even the materialistic guy that buys the Rolex and the car, we can look a little deeper in between the lines and go, yeah, but he's buying it for recognition. Yeah, he's buying it because he thinks it's going to be validating in the eyes of the woman. So I wonder if we all share a bit of that. But yeah, maybe there's something extra to extra high achievers, such as yourself, such as the guys in the entourage. It's like we just seem to find recognition in things that we find more meaningful. I was going to say things that are more meaningful, but that's subjective also. So yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about the notion of authenticity recently, and it's like a concept that I come back to more and more because I'm like, you can kind of like I understand like things are not binary; they operate on a spectrum. So it's like sometimes if I hear people and they're like, kind of like, oh, if you go over to a girl, oh, just be yourself, man, be yourself, and it's like it does kind of I understand what they're saying, but it's like the advice is like really wishy washy because it's like going over like just being yourself. Like if myself in that moment, if I'm like a sniveling mess and I hate myself, then it's like I think if I overdose on authenticity, then I'm gonna come across as this uncalibrated weirdo. Like, hi, I'm really insecure. I need you to complete me. I guess you could do that the way that I would do that in like an anti-humor, anti-game type of way, like going over to a girl, being like, "Hi, I'm really, really shy and insecure. Do you want to go on a date?" Like, I would say in like that type of way. So it's like that's funny, but I think I don't know. It's interesting because I think it depends like where on the timeline you're actually at. If a guy's first getting started with all this stuff like daytime cold approach, I don't really think like the whole authenticity stuff that matters that much. I think you just need to get out there in the field and get your reps in to start off. To get started, and then I think as you develop and you get more competent, you can start to see girls. You kind of know how it plays out. I think then you can start injecting more of your personality into it because you're a completely different person. By approach, like the first approach, you're an absolute misfit. Like it doesn't matter how confident you are outside of this. The first one is just gonna suck so bad, and you'll keep sucking for the first 100, and that's fine. Then once you go past the first 100, it's like you're not the same person anymore. But it's like every approach you do, I find you're actually getting closer to who you are. Like the version of you who's just himself when he's around his friends and his family. He's not overthinking his thoughts. He's not stumbling over his words. He's just like proud. He's comfortable. So yeah, I was kind of thinking about that more and what does it actually mean to lead with authenticity and be your most authentic self in cold approaches? Is there a time when being yourself is not viable and you should actually pretend to be something? I don't know. I just thought it'd be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I think so. I'm glad that you kicked it off. Yeah, authenticity. I can say that in 9 out of 10 of my approaches, I don't feel my most confident self when I'm walking over. And so the way that I see it, it is somewhat, for me at least, I'll just speak for myself, it is somewhat of like a show that I'm putting on when I'm walking over in like a very, very bold manner. And what I'm saying is, 2 years ago, I was not the kind of person that could, for example, most recently, be on a sidewalk while a girl is crossing the crosswalk towards me, and she's kind of in a group, not with a group, but like in a sea of like nine strangers. Well, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I was not the kind of person that could stand on that corner, wave her down, get her attention, like have her stop for me, get in front of her. Like that that in and of itself to me seems like a character playing a part in a movie. And that's almost how I imagine myself when I'm walking over to these girls in the boldest manner possible. So oftentimes I try to seek out situations that are going to cause more fear, and of course, um, demand more courage out of me. But it's because I just I'm in love with that idea of starting off the relationship in just the most like bold, kind of like opposite ends of the polarity spectrum kind of way, where when somebody asks, "How'd you meet Efrem?" she's going to say something like, "Yeah, I mean, there was like, I was surrounded by 10 people and he just walked over and between parted ways. Yeah, parted the sea, walked right over to me, said, excuse me." Like, I think that that's just the coolest story. But now to come back to your question, but that I'm not that person. That's not me. Yeah, 2 years ago, I couldn't do that. I had never done that. But all of a sudden, after having practiced doing that multiple times, now in 2024, that is me, and I can do that consistently. And to be fair, the most recent time that I did that, the girl walked clean past me, and I had to face that, yeah, and feel that shame in the face of all nine strangers that watched it happen. But that just comes with the territory. Point is, I did it. Yeah, the point is, like, I created and I acted out that entire like movie star kind of a sequence that I can see. Yeah, we talk about the Fight Club references. I can imagine myself as Efrem Durden in that moment. I'm walking over, yeah, not a care in the world, but I'm going after what I want. And so, yeah, I mean, we talk about authenticity. I kind of see myself as be like as I was building this skill, I kind of feel as though I was being inauthentic because I wasn't behaving as who I was up until that point. I was behaving as somebody different. I was pretending to be somebody that I wasn't, but I was pretending to be that person long enough, to the point where that I actually did become that person. Yeah, I approached enough girls. I pretended like I was this cool rock star, movie star who could walk over to girls, even though I was the incel who wasn't getting laid for months at a time when I met you. Yeah, and I pretended to have this rock star confidence, and I walked over until, what do you know? I actually look back and I'm like, oh, I kind of am that person now. Oh, I've kind of like I've gone on dates with girls that I've met in this manner that I'm describing. Now I'm kind of the guy that I was, I was striving to be all along. And so yeah, I don't know, authenticity. Um, now in terms of like the actual approach, I completely agree because you taught me this. You do this in your infields, where you'll walk over and you'll explain how you're feeling. You'll explain that you're low energy that day, or you'll explain you're hungover that day, and I just see that as the best alternative. Yeah, it's like the only alternative to being truthful about how you're feeling is to lie about it and mask it and try to pretend like you're not feeling that way. So I just love the fact that you just call it out. Yeah, you're the first one to call out the elephant in the room, and yeah, and lead with authenticity, like you said. I think that's something I'm still working on. Certainly, I'm not too good at calling out when I'm nervous. Usually, I try to smile through it and put on this like smooth, cool guy persona, and a lot of times it does work for me. But I will say, the girls that are extra hot that make me extra nervous, they can see right through it because they provoke a level of nerves in me that I simply can't mask. And so, in that moment, that would be a great time to, for example, call it out. Yeah, I'm super nervous. Yeah, you look good. You're making me nervous. That kind of thing. But yeah, that's, to start it off. That's my thoughts on the authenticity question.
Yeah, yeah, I've always liked the idea of having that focus beyond the identity. Like, who is it that I actually want to be? Having the custom made character in your mind. This is like when I was listening, when I was going through my little mystery fanboy stage during the past 67 minutes. I should have said 69. That kind of would have been weird though. And he said like one of the things he did this podcast with Owen Cook, like one of that old like RSD guys, and because Mystery apparently was Owen's mentor, and Owen was saying that the thing that changed his life the most that Mystery taught him was the idea that you can step into any identity that you want. And I find that so interesting because it's like parallels in my own belief system as well. This notion that you become what you practice, you decide who you want to be, and then you make your actions align with your ambitions. And I think not enough people actually have that belief and positivity in their lives. I think if you look at the average guy, maybe he's stuck in the office politics at work, so he actually can't speak up and be authentic and be honest because if he's actually honest, if he actually says, I don't like the way this company runs. By the way, Sally, you stink of shit. Like, he can't say those things, right? Because he'll probably get fired, or the the mind viruses will start to infect him. You know, you'll get all these like office politics. So he can feel very trapped in his job. And then when he goes out and tries to speak to women, it's like he's still Brian from the office who has to bite his tongue in these professional settings. And it's like, your personal life. I'm thinking of guys who I've coached, especially guys who work as teachers, for example. Like teachers in the UK, what I've noticed, the environments are, they're very estrogenic. It's like female dominated environments. Because he's working with children, he really has to be careful of what he says. And then when you're taking those guys out in the field, it can take a couple of days to actually like rewire their mindset to think, no, you actually can speak your truth here. Like, you're not in front of children anymore. Like, you're not in the office politics. You can actually express yourself. And yeah, it made me realize that the professions that guys are working, that really does impact on their ability, I think, to make those connections with women if they're so used to having to say the right thing. And that starts off in the school system as well. Like, from really early on, we're told what to wear, where to sit. We get our minds flooded with absolute garbage. Like, in our school, we learned about one of the kings, Henry VIII, and we learned how many wives he has, and we learned this rhyme for remembering his wives. I'm thinking, how the fuck was that ever going to help me make money? The answer, it wasn't. It was never meant to. So yeah, I just find it really interesting. Like, authenticity, it's almost like just beaten out of us throughout our daily lives. And it's like, it's no wonder why guys struggle, you know. And when they hear advice like, "Oh, just be yourself, Brian," and he's like, "I don't even know who myself is," because it's like, I've got my office self, and then my office self is so tired when I get home, I can't be asked talking to anybody. So yeah, it's just interesting, like this notion of authenticity. That's why I think, to have the best date in life, you actually do need to have a profession where you've got control over your time, over your energy. Like, I don't need to wake up in the morning anymore and think, oh, I need to clock in today. I need to be careful what I say. Oh, I might get fired. People think like 9 to 5s are safe. They're not. 9 to 5 is the biggest risk because you're getting polluted every day with all these mind viruses. And yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I'm trying to end that on a note of positivity. I would say do what I did. Do whatever you can to get out of that 9 to 5 rat race. Someone commented on one of my videos once. He's like, "Oh, it's easy for you. You don't work a corporate job." I'm like, "Yeah, but dude, you don't have to work a corporate job either. Like, that's what you've decided." So yeah, I think this notion of authenticity. Yeah, there's another thing that I can say, but I'll let you add on things from that.
Yeah, well, firstly, 9 to 5 being safe. What a lie. I've been laid off twice. I'm 24. How safe could it get? Yeah. So no, no, not safe at all. But yeah, I wanted to add on your point, just using some anecdotal stories. So this is my life on a daily basis, Christian, is go switching off and switching on that sexuality within me. And I say this, even in a profession like sales, where they don't, my manager doesn't have full control over my time. I do have a bit of autonomy, and especially with how I'm delivering the product, how I'm selling the product. But every time I clock into work and I see a girl that I'm attracted to, for example, on tour, she comes to tour the property, and I'm her leasing agent. This is exactly what you're talking about. I have to almost chop my balls off. I metaphorically chop my balls off in front of this girl. She and I can both, right? Both of us can feel the tension in the room, in the car that we're in the empty apartment that we're in. We could feel the tension. Yeah, and this is me not just saying this as like desperate guy wanting to get laid, cannot get laid for the life of him. This is me, like, with a whole channel, having approached how many girls, having been in conversation with thousands of girls, and learned how to pick up on real subtle cues. So this is that guy in this position going, yeah, no, I could like feel the mutual attraction and connection that we have towards each other, but I have to entirely ignore it. I have to ignore it. I have to stay professional. I can't acknowledge it. Oftentimes the girl will catch wind of the fact that I have to be all proper and professional, and she might lean into it a little bit more. Yeah, so now I'm showing her pricing on the pricing sheet. She's brushing shoulders with me. She's getting even closer to me, and it's like these moments where I have to, like, it. I put all this work into becoming the guy that can walk over confidently when he likes the girl, And then it's like I have to stifle all of that work that I've put in. I have to stifle it in this moment and bite my tongue and kind of freeze up and go, okay, I know what's going on. I know what to do in this scenario, but I have to pretend to be oblivious. I have to ignore it because I need to, in the name of being professional, which, to be fair, I agree with. I don't think I should be fucking all of my clients. I get it, right? I get the rule, but it's just funny, like what that represents. Because it's not just that with the clients, it's that with if I had any coworkers I was attracted to, it's that if my manager's kind of hot and there's a little tension there. Like I have to pretend to be like an asexual creature when I'm at work. And like you mentioned, it's the language that I use. Yeah, it's funny because even I have a lot of girl coworkers, and I realize they can be a lot more dicey with their language than even I can. Yeah, they make a lot more funny, risky jokes. For example, when a guy that they're attracted to walks into the leasing office, it's nothing for them to go ooh and kind of nudge me on the shoulder and tell me, oh, that guy's cute. Oh, I hope I tour that guy. I don't know. It's just something about vice versa. Me saying that about the girl that I guess I haven't fully done it, so I can't prove this, but I don't think it would slide nearly as easily. Especially if I'm the only person on tour with the girl, and now it's a question of if I'm making her uncomfortable. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. I guess it's just I relate to what you're saying because it sucks having put in all this work to build this skill and then show up to the job and actually be presented with a lot of girls that I'm like, wow, all right, she's cute, but I need to pretend that she's not. I need to pretend like this is platonic. I need to pretend like I'm asexual. And then the counterpart to this is that when I clock out of work, and let's say this is a few months ago when it was still bright outside when I got off work, then it was a lot more difficult for me, like you said, to walk over to the girl in the sexual manner because I just spent 9 hours out of my day pretending like I wasn't attracted, diverting my eyes when she was holding the eye contact and getting close to me and this and that and diverting it all. And then 9 hours later, I clock off. I see the hot girl. I think, wait, I know what to do in this circumstance. Wait, I'm not on the clock anymore. But yeah, there's that bit of hesitation. I imagine it comes in with my delivery and what I'm saying. But I probably end up saying a lot of PC stuff that I don't need to because I'm off the clock now. But it's still going to seep into my language and seep into my confidence when I walk over to the girl. Yeah, it's like spent 9 hours pretending like I'm pretend being the closeted heterosexual. Hour 10, it's hard to make that quick switch to like, all right, now I'm the movie star that gets all the girls. And I'm going to walk over in the bold manner. So yeah, I completely relate to what you're saying, and that's why I'm so obsessed with this location independence that I'm after because I've had it. I've had a taste of that, and yeah, life is so different when I have full control, full autonomy over my own time. So
Yeah, I think those are the two things I would say to any guy. I spoke about on one of my little Bangkok streams earlier on that, yeah, I think the two skills that every guy should be focused on, especially guys in their 20s, when you've got that time, you've got your energy, I think you're the most cognitively coherent at 25 years old. Apparently, it starts to drop off after that. So I think, yeah, if you're a guy in your 20s and you want to become a sovereign, I would say unfuckable individual. I like to use the word fuckable to refer to like aesthetics and belief system. I think you actually want to make yourself unfuckable where no one can fuck with you anymore. I think get your social skills on point. So you don't have to do cold approach. I think it's the most efficient because you can go out on any given day, just start talking to people. It doesn't have to be compliments to women either. Like when you're first getting started and you do have a lot of resistance, you can just start off talking to a few guys here and there. You're like, hey mate, how's your day going? That's a nice dog. Oh, you got a cool pair of trainers. Oh, like, did you see the football scores last night? How did Liverpool get on? Oh, we're having a great. I don't give a fuck about football, but I'm well versed in, or soccer for American people. I'm well versed in that field to know how to carry that sort of conversation. I think guys just need to make that active effort to speak to more people who they don't know on a consistent basis. Going to dance classes in the evening is amazing as well. I know we've got guys in the Entourage who go to dance classes. Those are great. It's like speed dating on steroids. Everyone's there because they want to meet people. There's usually an asymmetrical ratio between men and women. So you'll be able to get a lot of face time with the feminine. So that's great. And I think just as important as that is getting the money side of things handled. Because I think you're not going to feel your most authentic self if you are working a job that you hate in a city that you despise. You have to hold your tongue on a daily basis, especially if you're not doing work that truly fulfills you. This is why I say to my guys, there are no such thing, in my opinion, as dating problems. There are just personal problems. And it's the personal problems which spill over into everything else. The reason why you don't have money is most likely because you've got a scarcity mindset. The reason why you've got a scarcity mindset is maybe like me, you didn't grow up with money as a child. So you were always taught that money was always this scarce entity and, oh, rich people are evil. So it's all rooted in the personal problems that you've got. But I think getting your social skills on point, so putting yourself into approaches, you can start off with guys if you want to. Maybe you're into guys. I've never had any gay clients before. That would be quite an interesting experiment. Like, hey, dude, like I want to get a boyfriend. This will be fun. I guess it'd be pretty easy actually. And I would say get the career side of things handled as well, especially if you're a younger guy. Find ways to make money remote. Me and Joseph both agreed $2,000 recurring each month. That's your ticket towards freedom. Even if you can just get like $10,000 saved up in your bank account, that might give you 6 months of saving runway. Go to somewhere like Bangkok or Brazil, your money goes further there. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. Like, where can I actually leverage my skills, my aesthetic, my money? Where can I put that further? But I honestly think it's everything that we're doing, whether it's cold approach, whether it's making money, whether it's building social confidence, for me, it's all stepping stones towards freedom, towards personal sovereignty, to be able to wake up when we want, talk to who we want, say what we want. I don't think freedom of speech truly exists. Like it just doesn't exist. Like I couldn't walk into a theater and start shouting fire everywhere. Like it just doesn't work. There are limitations to these things, but I think that's what most guys want. It's not necessarily the women or the money. It's what these things represent. It's just that notion of I feel free and I actually feel as though I showed up in that interaction rather than the version of myself that I felt as though I needed to be. So yeah, get your social skills on point, learn how to make money online. You don't need to be a millionaire to live a millionaire lifestyle. And I think as soon as you start positioning yourself in new environments, then that's where the biggest changes take place because then you can start to recreate yourself in these new places. It's like when you went to Warsaw, like nobody knew you there. So you could learn that skill. You could be who you wanted to be. You weren't going to bump into anybody who knew you. So you weren't going to bump into your friend and like, oh, Efrem, this is not you. You're not this type of guy. You're the guy who does this and just like putting you into like a box and putting labels to you, even if it's just for a long weekend. I think that's a great thing for guys to do. If you are working a 9 to 5 and you're not living a fulfilling life, just give yourself something to look forward to. Book a weekend away to a new city and just practice being the version of yourself that you actually want to embody. And then that'll give you a taste of it. And now you've got that taste, you'll actually want it to become your new normal. That's what who's the guy? Jim Carrey, the actor, he did that. He wrote himself a check. I think it was for $10 million, and then years later, he actually ended up getting signed to a film which paid him $10 million. It's like he experienced the experience before he experienced it, and that allowed him to feel the feeling. So yeah, I think it's interesting, just breaking away from normality, and that allows you to actually create a new character. You know.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. This is why I see location independence as the only option. I can work a job in person forever. I can always find that option. I can always find that somewhere. But if it's available and it's widely spreading, I mean, being remote work is so common these days. Almost, we seem to have almost gotten to the point where, at least in the tech world, it's more common than not to be remote. So yeah, I've already worked remote jobs. Now I'm not working a remote job, and I just look at where my life was, my flexibility when I was remote, and like just more practically, your job and your career genuinely does influence your dating life, as funny as it sounds. I'm not even just talking about how much money you make, although that's the obvious one, but it's like I have to be at my stupid office in San Francisco at 9 a.m. every day, no matter what. Yeah, it's Wednesday through Sunday or whatever it is. I can't go that far, man. If I wanted to do something yesterday, last night, I can't really go too far. I still got to show up to work. I wanted to line up a date that day. But I got to be up pretty early. I have absolutely no flexibility. I get called out if I show up late. I get called out if I spend too much time in the toilet. And it's like, yeah, there's just I still feel like a child to a certain extent. It's like I don't report to a single person but my boss and their boss and their boss. Yeah, I already went through 18 years of having to report to my parents and answer every question, and they had the authority to question me. So it just sucks to still be in that position. And I get it, like they're paying me a wage, so they get the right to question me. That's fair. But it's more so, I remember telling my ex manager this when this is the one that hired me for my tech jobs, my remote tech jobs. I tell her, it's so crazy to me because these are the first tech remote jobs I've ever worked, and these companies treat me so much better than the companies that I actually showed up to in person and I shook the hands of my bosses. And this boss I never met in person. These bosses I see every day and they treat me worse. They have a tighter leash on me. They give me less autonomy. Yeah, they bring less company lunches and company breakfasts. And it was just absurd to me that the remote job, in addition to the obvious autonomy of having control over your own time and location, they actually like cared less about how often I was online. They actually fucked with me less. I could actually fuck off for 5 hours at a time as long as I was getting my work done. And it's just, yeah, I guess we're kind of branching to a new topic, but it was just interesting to me to learn that, like, the higher specialized the skill, the more valuable the skill you possess, and like the more valuable you are to the company, then the less power they seem to try to exercise over you. And so that's why I really need to get back to that position. So I'm glad we're talking about location independence, because I mean the easy and obvious examples are that you can go where you want, when you want. You can wake up and be working at nighttime and go out during the day, like I was doing in Cyprus. Oh, that was the life. Yeah, I'd wake up, hang out with Kristian, we'd go do our thing, film content, and then I'd come home in the evening, and then that's when I was doing the tedious work that I didn't actually like, that was paying me like absurd amounts of money actually. Yeah, and I was stacking my day that way. I was getting dates lined up in a foreign country where I'm trying to speak Greek to these girls. I'm getting dates lined up during the day, and then at nighttime, I'm making 3x what I'm making now, having to report into the office and work a lot harder. And so, yeah, location independence. That is the way. That's what I'm
Mm.
after too.
Yeah, I think in the meantime, I was trying to think as you were saying how like you've got basically like this like alter ego effect playing out. Like you're one person in your job and you're a different person. The way that I would frame that, if I was in your position, because I think there are a lot of guys who are in this position right now, and it's not saying the world is over and you should get depressed about it. Like I'm always trying to look for solutions for people. I would honestly be pretending that I was a superhero. So I have to clock in, I have to go to my job. But then when I'm not in the office anymore, it's like I'm Batman in Gotham. I think Batman's the best superhero because he doesn't actually have any powers. Like he's like one of the most aspirational figures because anybody can become Batman if you think about it. You just need to get proficient in martial arts, get a lot of money, and slide your torso into a bat costume. But you don't have to do the bat costume. But that's the way that I would be framing it. It's like, right, when I'm in my office, I'm office Efrem. But then when I'm out the office, then that's when you morph into like the alter ego effect. Then you can actually become that person. So I think that's kind of like a mindset that I would use in the meantime. But then yeah, I had the realization how like the widespread belief that the 9 to 5 is normal, and I think for certain individuals, it actually is a good option. Like, not everybody is equipped to live an entrepreneurial lifestyle. I think very early if it's for you or if it's not for you. So I think for a lot of people, like the comfort of the 9 to 5 is actually useful. But really, I think I make content not for those type of people. I'm really making content for a younger version of me who was just pissed off with the system, who knew that I was destined for more things than just to be sat on my ass in some cubicle taking phone calls. Like, those are really the people that I'm speaking to when I'm making this content. So yeah, if you want to work your 9 to 5, make 30K a year, try and find yourself a nice woman. I don't think you'll be able to do it with the way the world's going. The middle class is not a thing anymore. You're either going to be at the top or you're just going to be at the bottom. That's just how it is. Um, so I think if you are one of those people who is actually serious about evolving, again, get your social skills on point, find locations which inspire you as an individual. So obviously, when I was working my 9 to 5, I still got holidays, I still got paid leave. So I would use that time to go around the UK, experiment with different cities. I take trips abroad. I've always done a lot of traveling, even when I didn't have a lot of money. You actually don't need a lot of money, especially if you're based in Europe. You don't need a lot of money to be able to travel. You might be able to have a weekend away. I remember I used to do Barcelona for like £300. I used to stay in hostels. Hostels are also another great thing you can do to develop your social skills. It's like you just go there, you meet people, you might meet a few nice girls there. They're not really the highest quality, but you'll still meet people. I think just find your place. I know we've got guys in the entourage who travel. They found their places. We've got guys who bought houses together. I think that's what it's about. It's just trying to find sovereignty in all areas of life. Because I think if you don't have that, it is going to be difficult for you to connect authentically with a woman, especially if you absolutely hate your life. But yeah, I think it's a rite of passage as well, though. Like, I actually like the fact that I like the fact that was my reality. Like, I like the fact that I worked shitty jobs. I used to clean lemur shit off toilets in the zoo in the Lake District. Like, I used to do those like public facing jobs, the 9 to 5, the commuting, the grinding, the office politics. I've done all of that, so I do understand. I do have empathy for people who are in that lifestyle. But yeah, I think life is short. You've got one opportunity, so you want to do everything within your power to just live a life that actually excites you.
Yeah, and I want to also make it a point that life is still good. Yeah, I'm not here saying that. Oh my God, this is just life is so treacherous and difficult for me right now because I have to do this 9 to 5. I've been in many worse positions where I'm washing windows for 9 hours instead of in an office selling a product. So yeah, all in all, I mean, this is great. I think this is just once again like human. I forget the word, but just nature. Yeah, this is just me wanting more, wanting better for myself, and so I'm always going to be striving for better. So yeah, that's I think that's more so where it's coming from. Where, like you mentioned, I actually really appreciate the structure of 9 to 5s. I think this was super necessary for me because before getting laid off for the first time, I was being very careless and just immature with the way that I was spending my time. I wasn't getting much work done. I was going, oh well, they're not really watching me. I'm not in an office, so I can truly just just waste a lot of time scrolling Instagram or doing these watching YouTube instead of getting work done. And that was just a very immature mentality. And I thought I got the remote job. I'm good. I'm set for life. And I didn't realize how quickly that could be taken away from me. So yeah, once again, like just another life lesson there. Okay, you can have the great thing, but you have to be worthy of it. Yeah, you have to earn the great thing. And so for me now, having being thrusted back into the 9 to 5 kind of a life, it's just really made me appreciate my remote work setup that I had prior. And yeah, I just think it was necessary to a certain extent, and that's the other thing is, yeah, the structure. I really appreciate the structure. I'm not somebody that's good at structuring myself in my life. Yeah, somehow, some way, I've gotten sick at cold approach, and I got through the programming boot camp and this and that. But when I look back on it historically, it's because other people were providing me the structure. I usually just traded dollars for structure to some extent. Yeah, it's like coaching football coaching. Yeah, they have this regimented program process we follow, plays that we run. Programming boot camp, 6 months of just unplugging and just listening to these people and what they had to say and teach. Same thing with Christian, right? Just completely unplugging from the rest of the world and the rest of the red pill world and listening to what Christian had to say and implementing what his teachings. So I look at my life and I go, I'm a fairly unstructured person. It's kind of what I like about myself. It's part of what I think makes me such a sporadic person when it comes to my personality and my activities that I like to do. But still, like, I need to have some structure in my life, and so that's why for me, 9 to 5 sales job is always going to be super default, super easy because it's more or less uncapped income potential in that at least for now I can lease as many apartments as I physically can. I get a little more autonomy than when I'm working a solid 9 to 5, just hourly job, because then I am simply paid for my time. So it's not even paid for performance. It's just, Efrem, you need to be at your desk for 8 hours. So thankfully, I'm not in that exact position. Um, but yeah, I mean, the structure of the 9 to 5 really does help me. It helps me to set my alarm at a specific time every day, get up, run that mile that I've been consistently doing, and show up to work already feeling good. But, I think that I've gotten to a point now where although the structure is great, I have learned kind of how to structure my own life enough. So I believe that if I had my remote job, it would look nothing like that first remote job where I was wasting a lot of time. I would actually be really on the ball. Yeah, I'd be waking up 2 hours before work even starts to go run the mile and then drive to like a co-working space. I wouldn't even trust myself to work at home most days because I know I just end up sleeping in my bed. So I'd force myself into slightly more uncomfortable positions because I know that that would mean the benefit of the job. That would mean me keeping my remote lifestyle that I worked so hard to attain. So yeah, I guess this is a roundabout way of saying that I appreciate the grind. I appreciate the stage that I'm in. And I also appreciate that this is going to help me value the remote job a lot more when I do get it. So,
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point to keep in mind. Too much abundance is actually a bad thing. Like freedom without structure can be destructive. You imagine you've got all the time in the world. Like my days, for example, like I actually don't have to do anything. Like I could literally, if I wanted to, just stay in bed all day. I've got nowhere to be. I've got no accountability. Yeah, I need to do a live stream every day, but realistically, I could just do that in my bed. Be like, "Hiya, boys, I'm not really in the mood today. I'm just going to teach you about state transparency. When you're not in the mood, just say it. All right, boom, job done." So like, I've got no real need to do anything. Right? I've got money in my bank. I've got food in my fridge. I've got a girl who absolutely adores me. I'm living in a great city. The food is pretty inexpensive, so I can get things delivered straight to my door. Like society is set up in a way to make you lazy. Yeah, like I could just be here, everything delivered. I've got Netflix, we've got fucking Disney Plus as well. It's like it's so comfortable that it's silly. So like I need to manufacture discomfort, like really find ways to make myself uncomfortable and continuously give myself reasons to grow and expand. Because if I don't, I am liable to fall into very negative habits. And it's happened in the past when I first got a taste of international living. I remember I went to Poland. I didn't like, I had the whole month there. I was like, whoa, I don't need to go to the National Railway Museum today. I've got no one who I need to contact. I don't need to log into to Teams and talk to my colleague. I don't need to do that. And I remember I was just drinking. I was just drinking most days. I used to go to this place in Krakow, this like sports bar, and every day there'd be tourists there. Often you'd find people from the UK. They would buy me drinks. I would be that social guy. And like it was great for a little while, but I could see myself slipping into a very hedonistic lifestyle if I wasn't careful. And that was actually a big reason why I started doing Muay Thai here in Bangkok, because I needed to pay for accountability. I needed to make that commitment to myself. Because if I didn't have Muay Thai here, my girlfriend she's in another city at the moment. She has to do this thing for her job, and so it's just me. It's just me in the apartment. I'm like, if I didn't have Muay Thai, if I didn't have my daily live streams, if I didn't have the entourage, if I didn't have these things in place, too much abundance can be a bad thing. I've listened to interviews with celebrities where they get everything they want. They get the money, they get the car, they get the women. They've got everything, and it's like too much of anything can actually make you ill. So that was like probably one of the biggest tests of characters for me. It was going from complete scarcity to abundance, and my mind actually struggled to handle it for a little time. And it was like, because we were so used to being conditioned school, college, university, work. And it's like, what do you do when there is nobody watching? And I found that, yeah, cold approach holds a mirror up to you. But what holds a mirror up to you more is having everything you could possibly want, is having all of your needs met. I find that's when you can actually sink into very negative habits. So that's just a heads up for you. When you eventually do start living this lifestyle, you've got the women, you've got the money, you can take your skateboard out any day that you want. Yeah, just be careful because the devil is only around the corner.
yeah, I really do appreciate that advice because I can only imagine what it would be like. So I'm glad that this is so cool. It's almost like I get to look through a portal into what my future life is going to look like by talking to you, talking to somebody who's pretty
You're not
much
gonna you're not
in.
gonna you're not gonna turn white. This is
I
not
was
what
gonna say,
happens.
dude. Well, I
This is not gonna
I was
happen. This is not
I was
before
even
and after. My next evolution is I turn into mystery.
Oh, that'd be insane. I'd look odd as a white guy, I will say. No. But that's hilarious. So I will say though, it is cool to be able to just look through the portal though and see, oh, like that's where I'm gonna be in probably like somewhere between 6 to 12 months. Not as financially independent, but just like location independent. That's all I really want. Like you mentioned, 2,000 recurring is really all that we need. So it's like if I give up my spot here, I'm paying 2 G's a month for this apartment. It'd be nothing to give this up and just start traveling the world. That's 2 grand back in my pocket month over month. So yeah, it's super cool to be able to look at you, look at what you're creating and the life you're living, and see that's what I have to look forward to. And then you could also kind of warn me of what to expect, because I'm certain that kind of a lifestyle would blindside me. In fact, I already got something close enough. When I had the programming jobs and I was location independent, I almost destroyed myself there. Yeah, I tell you boys about how I'd have the bong next to the laptop, and I'd be going in between meetings with my manager and bong rips here, and then I'm coding a little bit, and it's like that alone was destructive because I wasn't really getting shit done. I was tricking myself into thinking I was being a good employee, but so like if still having to work and not being completely autonomous over my time is enough to destroy me, then I already know for sure that an international lifestyle where I can now learn how to get the girl, and like now that's certainly going to destroy me. So yeah, I'm glad that I'm just learning how to be disciplined with the job that I do have. One thing I'll introduce here is I'm noticing that I kind of have to like prepare for the job and like prepare my lifestyle for the job before I actually acquire the job. So I was looking to, I was like, oh, I'll get on everything. I'll dial in. I'll start running my mile every day. Once I get the job, I'll have more time. So I'll start doing this then. I'll start being more consistent in the gym then. But I noticed that just by virtue of me starting now, even though I don't have the job I'm after, starting now, going to the gym anyways now, running the mile now, waking up slightly earlier now anyways. It's funny because I'm putting in work, a lot more work than I was previously to actually live out that reality and get that lifestyle that I'm after. Versus when I was saying, yeah, I'll start it all when I get the job, I was barely putting in applications. Back then, I wasn't applying. I was just thinking about, oh, I need to brainstorm how am I going to get this remote sales job? Yeah. But when I actually start putting forth action and taking steps forward, it's like I start to attract the life that I'm after. So yeah, I'm noticing that with a lot of things. I mean, that directly ties into cold approach, right? We talk about that in the context of work, but yeah, I mean, I realize now that all the work I was putting in with the cold calls, the door knocking, door to door sales I was doing when I was growing up, that was delivered. I don't what am I saying? That was developing myself into the person that can get results through this skill set. So it's like I had to become the guy that gets girls before I got girls. Does that make sense? Like I had to develop myself into the kind of guy that, like you mentioned, had solid social skills, that can look the girl in the eye, that can interact with the girl as if she's any other person, and I don't freeze up and get scared around her. Like like that incremental process had to happen prior to me learning cold approach. Yeah, I had to learn all of these skill sets before I could walk over to the girl and yield anything close to results. So probably just another example to layer on why I was able to explode this skill set so quickly when working with Kristian for a month is because I'd already positioned myself to be able to actually find success with the skill set. So by the time I met Kristian, it was just implementing the skill set. Yeah, and all of the groundwork had already been put in.
Yeah, so it sounds as though like you're already starting to act as if what your day would be like when you are living that lifestyle. It's just like if you already tap into that feeling, then it's going to make the thing that you want just feel more natural in its achievement for you. Yeah, it's interesting because I remember when I was doing the whole 9 to 5 and I was commuting every single day. Like there was never any doubt in my mind that I would live the life that I'm living now. There was never any doubt. It was just a case of time. It was just a case of waiting for waiting for the universe to catch up in a way. Like I knew that I would get to where I wanted to get to. It happened a lot quicker than I thought, but honestly, one of the biggest differentiators for me was every day when I would commute, I would take my Nike hold all. It's still the hold all. I've taken it to every country that I've traveled with, and it was the hold all that I used to take to work with me. And every single time I would commute, whether it was on the bus peasant. Or sometimes when I was doing a little bit better financially, I take the train as well. And I would always have a book with me. Always, it would always be a book on business, on personal development, on seduction. I was always reading something, and I was like, because I was like, well, the commute is boring. Most people looking at their phones or playing fucking Candy Crush. So I'm actually going to use the time when I'm commuting to invest into my own education. So it was like, say, an hour there, an hour back. And like, I don't think I realized how useful that time actually was, because the books that I was reading, like, it's like they compounded. So now when I'm running my business, it's like I had the knowledge. It was like just like the setup period that I needed to actually allow it to come into fruition. So yeah, even for you at the moment, you know, you're running your mile. I think what's key though is you actually know what it is that you want, and you know that it's possible for you because you've lived it before. Like, I think most people are asleep. Most people live like accidents. They're just sleepwalking through life. They don't even know it's possible to live internationally. They think you need to be a millionaire, and they think the only way to make money is to win the lottery or get lucky on a scratch card. That is literally the mentality of my family. They still think what I'm doing is illegal. They cannot wrap their head around it. They're like, yeah, but how do you make money? How do these people pay you? Is it cash? Is it check? Like, I've got a payment processor, like Stripe. I send them invoices. Oh, I'm not sure about that. Oh no, I'm not sure about that. And I'm like, listen, let's just talk about something else. Oh, how's Liverpool Football Club doing? Then we'll just talk about that shit. So it's just so interesting to me that what feels so natural to me now is completely out of the ordinary person's reality. Like, they can't even compute that it's possible. And even when I'm here in Bangkok, like, I'll have conversations with people in the Muay Thai gym, and they're like, "Oh, you're here on holiday?" Nah, I've been here for the past 6 months. Like, I've spent half my year here, and like, wait, how do you do that? How are you living here? Like, we're lucky if we get 2 weeks holiday a year. And it's just so interesting to me that I don't live in the normal world anymore, but I can still connect with it because I've been in the normal world. I've worked the shitty jobs. I've done all those things. So I do have empathy for those people, but yeah, eventually you'll reach a point where you just can't connect with the common man. You just can't do it. Like, I can't go into a pub in London now and just talk to the average guy about football. It's like, it's just boring. There's no joy in it for me. So yeah, it's just interesting how we develop, how we develop. But I think it's crucial that you've actually got an idea about what it is that you want, because for most people they don't even think it's possible.
Yeah, it's funny that the more you reveal about yourself and your background, it's funny how much I start to realize we actually have in common, or had in common even back then. Because same thing, I used to hop on the train to commute to San Francisco, and back then I was reading a physical therapy books. I wanted to be a physical therapist at the time. But same thing, it's like that kind of books, or just sales books. I remember there's this guy, Ryan Serhant, just this big property mogul in New York City, and so he wrote a book that I'd read on my way to my leasing job, and that's how I learned how to crush it in leasing and make those big checks that I was making. Yeah, it's real interesting. It's like, even stuff as small as that, we could recognize how valuable these little pockets of time are. These little 45 minutes that I get on the train, it can be genuinely instrumental to exploding my income today, tomorrow, next week at work. It's insane. Yeah, yeah, I relate. I mean, I still do to this day, but I did a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of like finding little moments in time where I can consume this book. I could read a little bit of this. I can learn a little bit of this, and just becoming kind of well rounded, especially when it comes to dating and reading books related to mindset. So
Yeah, and I
yeah,
think I think for me, like, there comes a point as well where you actually, not to sound egotistical, because I certainly don't, but there actually does come a point where it's like you've kind of heard it all now. Do you know what I mean? It's like I can't watch a self improvement video. I can't watch a cold approach video. Like, it's just like, if I try and watch a YouTube, like, I need. It's like the guy who gets like super desensitized to like pornography, so he has to go and watch like some like extreme like Scooby Doo shit just to feel something. Like, I got to a point where I got so desensitized with like red pill content, self improvement content. Like, I need to go to like the depths of YouTube, like really like high IQ videos, which gets like 20 views, things that I don't even understand. Like, I need to tap into that stuff, like 4-hour podcasts. Like, that's where I go now to like seek out knowledge and wisdom, because like the base level stuff, it's like it just doesn't do it for me. It's like cheap dopamine. It's like going to Burger King every day. It's like I already know what it tastes like. I know it's not good for me. After a while, that type of content, it just starts to feel like porn, like self-improvement stuff. Like you already know what the guy's gonna say. It's like, oh, you need to go to the gym, you need to do cold showers, you need to do all this bollocks. So I'm like, yeah, I kind of know all that stuff now. So really, I think true authenticity comes from the action. I'm not advocating that you spend the rest of your life reading books and try to find your authentic self through the pages of some manual. But yeah, I think your most authentic self, you'll find that through action. And one of my favorite mantras is avoidance amplifies anxiety, action alleviates it. I think it's only by taking radical action. So in cold approach, that's doing over 100 direct cold approaches. You will start to find your flow. You'll start to develop your own approach to it. I think the worst thing that guys can do is watch a lot of my in-field content or anyone's in-field content and not do anything with it, because when you eventually do get into the field 2 years after watching my stuff, you'll you'll actually start to sound like me, which is really fucking weird. I've coached guys in person and they actually say the same things that I say. And they'll say things about themselves that isn't true, but it's true about me. Like I heard a guy once say he was from the Lake District. It's like, dude, if you're not from the Lake District, it's like, why the fuck did I say that? It's because you've been watching too much of my stuff. There's a good joke he didn't say my name's Barry with a K. But yeah, like there comes a point where you just need to, put the theory aside, get out there into the field, take the action. And then yeah, you'll be all right. Was there anything else that you wanted to add before we say au revoir?
Yeah, well, I think it was just as you were introducing that, you already said what I was gonna say, which was the reason why most likely you can't find yourself watching the standard red pill improve yourself content is because exactly you and I have both individually recognized that there's nothing. The only thing that would be what's a better way to put this? Something that's leaps and bounds better than consuming the content that's telling you what to do is actually just going out and doing the stuff itself. Yeah, so like I can watch a million of these videos that tell me to go to the gym, lift, look smack, so work on my beard length, work on my style. But I've just simply recognized it's way more better instead of sitting down and watching a video on telling me on to do that and telling me how to swoop my hair. Instead, I can just like literally do all the shit that he's talking about in the video, but like do it myself, do it every day, do it consistently, and you realize that is the content. That's the whole point of the content, is to actually get you to do the thing that they're talking about. So yeah, that's why I think I agree with you. It's like I couldn't even be asked to watch a how to self improve kind of a video because it's like, well, that's what I fucking do every day. I wake up, I run the fucking mile, I do the cold shower, I walk over to the girl and I'm scared, I go make the sale at work. I see like day in and day out, this stage of my life is like the driving phase. I see this all as improving myself. Yeah. I don't so yeah, I agree that the content consumption needs to stop. Yeah. So that's why I love our content, man. I love it. I use oftentimes when I'm hopping in the shower every morning, I'm playing one of your live streams. Yeah, I can't get enough because it's all about action. It's all about this is what we should be doing. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I do. And if you like my result, maybe you should listen in, yeah, to what I do. And it's just, yeah, I love it. You all you talk about is do, action, action, action. None of it is just sit in your room and learn and think. It's all about everything that you need to learn is out there. It's outside. It's over where the girl is. Yeah, you should go figure it out that way. So I really like it. So, anyways, just to end off, you said anything else I'd like to say? Not much. It's just yeah, if you're looking to change your life, reach out to Kristian. Pretty much, that's what I did. There's a point in 2023 where I was able to get a girlfriend. Yeah, matter of fact, I was in somewhat of a similar position as I was recently, where I had a girl that I really liked, but the big difference was I remember I got the big text from her. Well, I'm not comfortable seeing somebody that's seeing other girls, this and that. Yeah, and so I broke things off back then, and that sprung me into that phase of unknowingness, of darkness, where I'm looking around, going, "When's the next time I'm gonna find another girl? When's the next time I'm gonna get laid?" And that's kind of what brought me over to Kristian's content. And I reached out to Kristian thinking that that's the problem he was going to help me solve. Kristian, teach me how to get laid consistently. Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, the guy solved that and then some. But the what I realized throughout the process is what he was really solving was the lack of self belief that I had within myself. And so you recognize that if you can fix that intimate area, that heart, right, that self belief that you're lacking in the moment, then that's what he says. It's not dating problems; it's personal problems. If you just believe in yourself, you believe that what you're doing matters. You believe that how you look is good. You believe that if you walk over to the girl, she'll stop, she'll like you. That's what solves the problem. That's what allows you to walk over to the girl and yield results. It's not just practicing the perfect open and the perfect lines 100 times until it's cemented into your brain. It's practicing looking yourself in the mirror and actually liking yourself. It's practicing walking over to the girl as is and not trying to front some sort of a persona. And that is what Kristian helped me with. And I spent a month with him, and now, I mean, I don't even have to talk about myself in an arrogant way. I have a channel that does it for me. Yeah, so if you're curious to know if I'm lying, please just go browse through the content, search date breakdown. Yeah, all of this is thanks to the person that I'm on the live stream with. Yeah, all of this came as a result of the skill that he taught me. So I believe doors are still closed until 2025, but I highly recommend that you reserve a spot on the waiting list for the Entourage, because yeah, we're just a gang full of warriors, man. I don't know. What are we? We're just the entourage, yeah. And we got the entourage effect behind us and all the guys in there. So yeah,
Yeah, I think Joseph would probably describe it as a collection of poets, pirates, and renegades. That sounds like something.
I
It
like
sounds
that
like
better. Yeah, I like that.
sounds like something that he would say. Um, yeah, I was because it's coming to the end of the year now, so you know my daily live streams. Honestly, mate, it'll feel fucking weird. Like I wake up like every day, and it's the first thing that I think about. I'm like, oh, I wonder what. I genuinely don't know what I'm going to talk about. Like each day when I wake up, I'm like, I just have this empty void in my mind. I'm like, ah, fuck, I need a topic. I need a topic. But I can never like think my way towards a topic. The topic will always come to me after I've done some form of physical exercise. Muay Thai gym, walking on the treadmill, lifting some weights. Something will just come to me. So I've got an idea what I'm going to do once the daily live streams are finished. I don't know anybody else who's done a live stream every single day for an entire year. So that's cool.
You may be the first on YouTube, honestly,
Maybe.
since they unlocked the feature.
That's it. Yeah, yeah, you have to unlock it, don't you? Is it like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You got to get to like 1,000 subs or something along those lines. So I don't know. You might be the first YouTuber to have done a live stream every day for a year. And to be fair, look how it's exploded your channel since you started this.
Yeah, I found the concept. I really love the concept. It's like, you know, you press play, you don't get a second take. It's like you just have to talk. And I found that it's really helped my audience connect with me better. And I've really enjoyed doing it. So yeah, I've got an idea what I'm gonna do. Is like the next thing after the live stream era has ended. And also definitely next year, I know we've got one retreat scheduled in a secret Spanish city in March. But I've also I think now after listening to a lot of mysteries content, I think I'm gonna do a I think my plan is I'm gonna do a month in Helsinki because that's where he's based in Finland. So I think I'll go to Helsinki. I'll meet Mystery. We'll do a podcast together. I'll do like a full infield like montage of all these like like infields from Finland, and yeah, maybe we'll have like a meetup there as well. That'd be epic. Imagine that. Imagine like the Entourage guys with Mystery. Oh, that'd be so cool. We could have like
I
a
mean, that
magic.
would be
We could have
legendary.
a magic off. We could be like,
That would be legendary.
we got better magic. That's funny. Mystery. What's the best open? Oh, that would be cool. That would
Mate,
actually
I
be
feel
interesting.
like not only would that be absolutely legendary just for the Entourage archives, but I don't mean to sound like an asshole, but I feel as though at this point you have more value to add to Mystery's brand than Mystery does to yours. That might be a reach. That might be a reach. And maybe we're a little too early for that statement, but I understand the guy sold a lot of copies of the book, but I don't know. I think you could revitalize whatever he's got going on. I'm not too sure what it is, but I think, of course, he'd just add his expertise and his knowledge and his experience. But I think you've got quite a bit of value to add in this space. So
But yeah, I'll just introduce myself as Neil Strauss. I'll ask him if he's read my book. Like Neil, you've changed. That would be that would be good. Yeah, George has actually met Mystery. George did a trip to Helsinki last year, and he actually met Mystery. He met Mystery and Baxter, and Mystery introduced himself as Mystery. It's like Mystery, which is just fucking. I just found that really trippy. So yeah, that would be my plan. I'll go over to Helsinki, make infields, get a podcast with Mystery. and yeah, get some more Entourage guys over there as well. I think that would be epic. Yeah, I mean that's
Oh, that'd be
life, man.
great.
That's life. Yeah, and I think the final thing is just, I think for me as well, just have as much fun as possible. You know, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't take this life too seriously. I think it's easy to get wrapped up in the mundane, and it's like, yeah, when you've got that zoomed out perspective, I think it's easy to get bogged down with all like the practicalities, logistics, like, oh, looks, money, status, like what's the best open. But what I found is like, if you actually want to be authentic, it's like child inside of you, reconnect with that, learn to laugh again, actually have fun. Like, don't take yourself too seriously, don't take the girl too seriously. And yeah, it's weird finding Mystery's content. He actually reminded me to just have fun, stop being so serious, stop being so logical, and I think that can help. Maybe, I don't know, probably. So yeah, we'll leave it there. I'll put a link to your stuff in the title and the description, and yeah, guys can go over and watch your stuff, and we can do it again very soon. And yeah, for people who are watching, drop it a like as well, and then go over and watch Efrem's stuff, because that would be nice. Okay.
Stay sexy.
There we go. I was going to say stay mystery.